Hello, we are back with a Spanish project, Path of the Forest, designed by BATLLE y ROIG Arquitectura from Spain. So I'm kindly asking.
And we will present you, as you said, the forest path. The Roques Blanques Cemetery is located in the Natural Park of Collserola in Barcelona, near the natural path of the Rubí stream. This location, near the confluence with the Llobregat River, is a natural terrace with a predominant position on the area. The old Cantin Torre farmhouse is in the same terrace, a traditional building that reflects the past agricultural character of the area. The Roques Blanques Cemetery has been under development in the site for over 40 years, since its first group of graves in 1985. From the beginning, the cemetery was conceived as a garden that will be developed in phases, reaching a total of 6 clusters, with more than 7,000 graves of capacity. The space is traversed through a one-way ring road, following existing trails. From the path hang different groups of graves, each having autonomous exits and entrances. The unidirectionality of the path encourages walking the place in its entirety, offering all the possible points of view of the landscape, geographically acknowledgement of the site. This path allows you to travel through space and also time, discovering the different groups of graves designed by BATLLE ROIG over the last 40 years. The site is determined by the regular topography, with the slopes between 15 and 30%, and the wooded character of the area, with the presence of pines, almox, and oaks. In 1981, BATLLE ROIG was commissioned to carry out the first phase of the cemetery. A phased strategy was defined, allowing the design criteria of the model of the grave to adapt to the future needs. One of the first decisions that was made was to design a set of prefabricated niches as retaining walls, allowing the creation of terraces that, like agricultural strips, gradually adapt to the slopes of the mountains that close the valleys. These terraces are grouped together, forming closed set, paved with fine earth and planted with native trees and combining them with more typical garden trees, such as palm trees or plane trees. This was an appearance of an abandoned garden, anchored in the landscape that was accomplished. In these 40 years, the proposal has been able to adapt to changes in customers' demands, proposing new burial paradigms, aiming at facilitating remembrance and the relationship of families with the deceases. Even more, the mutual interest in the respect for the environment and nature have allowed us to propose a groundbreaking proposal for new burial forms, ecological and 100% biodegradable. The new project respects the human-natural interdependence, using natural-based solutions to accomplish a closed cycle free of waste. Opposite from the traditional environmentalists who saw in the 3R rule, recycling, reuse, and reduce, the solution to slow down the problem of resources depletion, in the last years, ideas have arisen conceiving solutions that create a waste-free closed cycle, with a positive balance of consumption and intakes. This is the cradle-to-cradle concept, which considers that there is no waste in nature. Everything is useful and is part of the eternal cycle, related to the energy of the sun. This is the general principle that should lead new approaches in landscape design.
This was the situation before the work started. A very steep topography with some clearings interspersed in the pine and warm oak forest. The challenge was creating an accessible space for the practice of funeral rites that would preserve the environmental values of the site while promoting the recovery of biodiversity in the natural park. The new cluster is composed of a path that enters the forest, a green terrace and a meadow as a reflection of Collserola's agricultural past, and a vertical garden that is a retaining system that minimizes the impact on the existing topography. We built with nature. This project uses an innovative building technology called the Krenner wall, based on bioengineering applied to the landscape. This technology provides many advantages. As a natural retaining system, it generates a large green terrace, including an accessible space for new graves. It allows the preservation and integration of existing trees, as well as the plantation of local species. Its design is conceived to be built quickly with natural materials from the nearby environment. This crater wall has a length of 300 meters, a height of 1.5 meters, and it is lined with a 1 meter wide path. It is located on the inner slope of the garden terrace, and it creates a large green meadow on which it offers an impressive viewpoint. We built for nature. The crater wall provides the most appropriate place for the butterfly garden. The butterfly garden is a new barrier space hosting different specific aromatic plant species that create a suitable environment and a living space for a great variety of pollinators, among which butterflies. In recent years, a decline was noticed in the presence of butterflies in Corserola Park. As a response, we studied which plants, thanks to their flowering, could encourage butterflies to return to the park. Once individuated the appropriate species, we planted them on the crater wall. The wall has been designed with the aim of turning the site into a protected and intensely sunlit place. It ensures generous and long-lasting flower blooming all year long, while sheltering the place's useful fauna. The wall entails a technology that combines dead and living materials. It evolves over time, connecting the degradation of dead elements, such as trunks, with the roots and growth of living elements, such as shrubs and bushes. A natural dynamic evoking the life cycle, which is a meaningful concept for asymmetry, intended as a meeting point between people and their ancestors over time. The butterfly garden enhances biodiversity, revitalizing the spaces of Corserola Natural Park. Thanks to these interventions, the park has become a learning resource for the study of the environment and a dynamic and open space that helps to raise awareness among citizens, bringing them closer to nature. Being based on the interdependence of human and natural, our project is also inspired by what the Catalan biologist Ramon Folch once said. If small is beautiful and big is powerful, why not to make beauty powerful too? With regard to the forest path, this is not just a principle, but it is a design method. The whole project is focused on a very specific use, limited to a specific period of time. Built with dry construction, with no water consumption, and exclusively with natural and local materials, the place is esteemed to have a useful ephemeral life of about 30 years, after which it would return to the original state of the forest. Such a period of time suits the duration of mourning and remembrance, evocatively referring to the reunification of human life with nature. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation. It's a really project with a dense kind of ambience. So I will now hand over to Todd and Lily. Do you have any questions? And maybe meanwhile, I will just ask a little bit if you can return to the slide with the master plan. I mean, so just to see exactly what is the scope of your work in terms of the site, because we've had the various images showing the site. This is one, but there was one with the forest. Did you do something also in that surrounding forest area at the beginning?
This one?
So this path is what you've done actually.
Yeah, well, this project we started in 1981, like 40 years ago, and these first phases, it was to design a cemetery in a natural park, and we start doing this the first terraces with the pergola that we see first, and we start designing also the connection using existing trails. But the project that we presented also.
The last phase, the one that is newly built, is which is just it's there.
Okay, it's just this one.
Okay, thank you. So Lily and Todd, please.
When did your firm start working here? Just want to know how long you've been actually associated with the park. So you say it started 40 years ago in the cemetery, but when did you begin your work?
We started in 1981, just 40 years ago.
So you have, okay.
Yeah, it's when we win the competition to create this new cemetery. But we do some phases at the start, and in 2019 we start working with the last phase, making this new burial paradigm, that we change the concept.
Yep.
And this is the last project.
So, yeah. So can I ask, has the program changed very significantly since you started? I mean, it's very unusual, quite wonderful, that you have an association with the landscape for so long, involved in the stewardship and the design. And I'm just wondering, so first off, I suppose, has the program changed, and how do you see it evolving from here? Because you've shown us a section of that. I don't know how much is undeveloped or is going to be thought of as being redeveloped. I'm just curious to know, since you have this unusually long association, how do you see it? Yeah, at what stage are you at in the program, or how do you see it going in the future?
The program doesn't change. What did change, I think, is the society change. The society changed because they don't want to be when they are dead. No, they don't want to be in the same place like 40 years ago. They want to be in a more natural area. No, so people prefer to be in these new projects in the Kleiner Wall, in the forest path, than in the old cemetery areas. So this is not just a program change because it's a cemetery, it's the same, but it's more, I think, a society change, And what we do is
private cemetery?
No, it's a public cemetery.
It's a public, so it's a public project then, not a private project. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. It is interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that Todd's question brings up for me is obviously the comparison to a normal cemetery, and I don't know if the earlier phases of this master plan had a more normative cemetery type. I don't know, but it's a beautiful, sensitive, poetic project. I really enjoy it a lot. I'd like to know though, how are people commemorated? I mean, are there markers? I didn't quite understand where this. So I missed.
In this picture, you can see below the text, like there is a wooden trunk with a name in black.
Okay.
So each people can have a place, with their name. And also it's biodegradable, so it's not eternal. So you are in a place that it's all biodegradable. So
and is it all ashes that are buried, or is it? I mean, what is the burial that must?
Yeah, it's ashes. Yes, it's ashes. It's not all the body. It's just ashes.
Yeah. Could we understand a bit? I'd like to just understand a little bit of the context as well, like the context of how much of the city is this a burial, like in terms of numbers. There's an intense, need for more burial sites, and I just wonder the numbers.
Nowadays there's more than 17,000 graves in this place, between the old areas and the new ones. Now we are working, we just finished the last phase. Almost all of them are in the old areas, but the future will be that we are just building the new kind of project, not the old one. So in the future, this will be the same, the same people in the old one and
well, this model of natural burials, your new model will be what will be accommodated in the forest.
Yeah. yeah, we can start. We can continue working with this new model for I don't know, for 5 years, and maybe the society change another time, and we have to change another time the project. No, maybe we don't know because it's the future.
Yeah. Is there? If there's not another question, I have another one, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Lily, please.
I was just wondering about this, you know, use of ashes. I mean, it probably is outside of the landscape architect's scope, but I wonder what the conversation was around that of burying bodies, which, you know, it's a pretty carbon intensive burning.
Well, in the old system, in the old projects, they can, well, the last years, no, almost 80 or 90% of the people prefers to go with ashes, but they still put their bodies in the ashes in a concrete, no, in a concrete wall. What we do is we just take this 80% of the people that prefer in this area to be in, well, to be burial with the ashes. We just use this to do this new proposal. So we are not changing the dynamics of the people. We're just using the majority of these people that prefer to be in ashes, no, that in the complete body.
Do you promote this, or how does it? Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering whether whether you found more and more people are interested in this kind of burial, whether you're promoting this, or whether this is a model that can be used elsewhere in Spain or Catalonia or wherever. So, have you found other examples?
No, this is unique. We cannot find other examples like this in Catalonia. It's not a cultural thing. It's more like thing is just the society, not only in Catalonia, also in Europe. Every year prefer more to go with ashes, and they prefer with contact with nature. No, people throw the ashes in the sea, in the natural area. This is not legal, no. But what we're doing is to make a response, no, to the society, making this new project, no, so that they have a good projects to be there, no, for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for your presentation. The time is running out, and congratulations for the project. And thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.